I'm Lucy, and this is episode 3 of Waffling About Topics that I really like. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 1997 film Batman and Robin, which was also directed by Joel Schumacher. I wanted to talk about this film because my last video was about Batman Forever, and I wanted to compare them a little bit and talk about how this film was better or worse. So, this is the fourth and final film of the series, and in this retrospective, I'm going to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of Batman and Robin, and just explore its impact on the Batman movie genre. Just for a quick plot summary, the plot revolves around Batman, played by George Clooney, teaming up with his sidekick Robin to save Gotham City from the villainous Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and Bane. Meanwhile, Alfred faces a life-threatening illness that just adds an extra emotional layer to the narrative. So I'm going to start by talking about the strengths of the film. So, the first strength I'd say is the visual style. One thing I do love about this film series is the vibrant, flashy aesthetic. Similarly to Batman Forever, it does have the neon city, elaborate costumes, and really colourful set designs, and it does just create a really visually stimulating experience that captures the comic book essence, which is always my favourite part of Batman films. So the second strength I'd say is the action sequences. The film does have really good action sequences with fast-paced chases, hand-to-hand combat, and impressive stunts, which wasn't really seen in older Batman films. This was kind of the starting point for those really good stunts in Batman movies. It even had Batmobile races and gravity-defying fights. A lot of the action sequences in this film are really cool, and these moments provide more entertainment for the viewer and just make the film overall less boring and more enjoyable to watch. So, the third strength I'd say is the cast performances, which I did talk about with Batman Forever because it's similarly to Batman Forever, this cast is pretty much perfect. So, although the script of the movie is criticised, which I will talk about, several actors do bring their best efforts to the respective roles. Arnold's emotional portrayal of Mr. Freeze stands out to me, and George Clooney portrays quite a chilled out Bruce Wayne with a lot of confidence. Uma Thurman embraces her character's seductive nature as Poison Ivy excellently, and she's fit, so I love her. So now I'm going to talk about the weaknesses. So the first weakness I'd say would be its campy tone, which usually I'd be a fan of, but I feel like they overuse it a lot in this film. So one of the most distracting parts of Batman and Robin is just the exaggerated campiness. So this film leans way too heavily into humour and trying to be funny, often at the expense of character development and engaging storytelling. This shift in tone may have put off fans expecting a more serious Batman adaptation, especially after the criticism of Batman Forever. People thought that they'd change it with this film, but instead they just made it worse. So the second weakness I'd say is its crap dialogue. So whilst the cast does try their best, the script's dialogue can be really cringe at times, with a lot of one-liners and puns that just take away from the overall quality of the film. And this lacklustre writing hindered the potential depth and complexity that these characters could have achieved, which is annoying because Mr. Freeze had a lot of potential, but they just ruined it with the dialogue. And a lot of these characters just felt unemotional and kind of one-sided. The third weakness I'd say is its excessive characters. So Batman and Robin introduced multiple villains without giving them sufficient time for proper development. So as a result, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy and Bane just really felt underutilised, struggling to reach their full potential within the narrative. So it's nice that they have more characters because I do like to see how the writers would interpret them, but I can't even fully enjoy them if they aren't being properly utilised within the story. So it's kind of bittersweet. Despite its critics upon release, Batman and Robin is still considered an iconic film because of its effect on future Batman films. This movie's failure served as a turning point for Warner Brothers, leading them to reevaluate future Batman adaptations and just ultimately give rise to Christopher Nolan's darker reboot later on, which more people were a fan of. While it suffered from weaknesses like its campy tone, subpar dialogue, and overcrowded cast, it still managed to entertain the audience, and it's not a bad film, because it was still visually stunning, and it did have some amazing action sequences. I just wanted to use this retrospective to show that even flawed films can contribute positively to the evolution of cinema, because it was like a lesson for filmmakers to spark that change in future adaptations. So by no means is Batman and Robin a bad film. It is still one of my favourite films. I love the quadrilogy film series, but if I had to pick the best Batman film, it would not be Batman and Robin. And that's not bias, that's just based on a lot of the reasons that I've talked about today. But that's it. Thank you for listening.